sir, my mom didn't come home last night." The words cut through the December wind like broken glass. Nathan Reeves stopped mid-stride on the snowy sidewalk, his leather briefcase heavy in his hand. He'd been heading to another late meeting, another deal to close, another night alone in his penthouse. But now he stood frozen, looking down at a little girl in a worn beige coat, her blonde ponytail dusted with snowflakes. She couldn't have been more than 4 years old. Her green backpack sat beside her like a tired companion, and her brown eyes held a terrible mix of hope and fear. Nathan crouched down slowly, his expensive suit absorbing the cold from the ground. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Avery." Her small hand clutched the fence railing. "Avery Mitchell. We live 2 blocks that way, but the door's locked, and it's really cold, and I don't know where Mama went." Nathan's chest tightened. He'd built a tech empire by 34, acquired companies, managed thousands of employees. But this? A child standing alone in the snow? This he didn't know how to handle. "How long have you been waiting out here?" "Since school ended. Mrs. Patterson dropped me off, but nobody answered." Avery's voice trembled. "Mama always comes home. Always. She promised." Nathan glanced around the darkening street. No one else had stopped. People hurried past, collars up, eyes down, just like he usually did. "Come on," he said gently, extending his hand. "Let's get you somewhere warm. We'll figure this out together, okay?" Avery hesitated, then placed her tiny, freezing hand in his. The coffee shop 2 blocks away felt like a haven. Nathan settled Avery at a corner table with hot chocolate and a muffin while he called the police non-emergency line. The operator took notes, but explained gently that adults weren't considered missing until 48 hours had passed, unless there was evidence of foul play. Nathan hung up, frustration simmering beneath his calm exterior. He returned to find Avery hadn't touched her food. She was staring at a drawing on a napkin, a stick figure woman with yellow hair next to a smaller figure holding her hand. "That's beautiful," Nathan said softly. "Mama's an artist, a real one. She paints pictures that make people cry happy tears. That's what Mr. Dawson at the gallery says. But Mama's been sad lately. She tries to hide it, but I can tell." Nathan felt something crack inside his chest. He'd been so focused on quarterly earnings and market shares that he'd forgotten what real worry looked like. "Does your mom have a phone? Maybe we could try calling?" Avery nodded and recited the number from memory. Nathan dialed. It rang 6 times, then went to voicemail. A woman's voice, warm but tired. "Hi, you've reached Olivia Mitchell. Leave a message and I'll call you back." Beep. "Miss Mitchell, my name is Nathan Reeves. I'm with your daughter, Avery. She's safe, but she's worried about you. Please call this number as soon as you get this." He left his cell number and hung up. "What if something bad happened?" Avery whispered. "Hey, look at me." Waited until she met his eyes. "We're going to find your mom. I promise you that." It was a reckless promise, the kind his board of directors would have called impulsive, but looking at Avery's frightened face, he meant every word. Nathan made a decision. "Avery, I'm going to take you to your house, okay? Maybe your mom came home while we were here." They walked through the falling snow, Avery's hand tucked firmly in his. She directed him to a narrow brownstone in a modest neighborhood, worlds away from Nathan's glass high-rise. The windows were dark. Nathan knocked. No answer. "Do you have a key?" Avery shook her head. "Mama keeps it. She says I'm too little to not lose it." Nathan called the building superintendent, explained the situation. 20 minutes later, a gray-haired man named Lou arrived with a master key, concern etched on his weathered face. "Olivia's a good tenant. Good woman. This isn't like her." Inside, the apartment was small but filled with warmth. Paintings covered every wall, abstract cityscapes, portraits full of emotion, landscapes that seemed to breathe. Nathan paused at one near the window. A mother holding a child against a starry sky, their silhouettes merging into one. "That's us," Avery said quietly. "Mama painted it after my daddy left. She said we didn't need him because we had each other." Nathan's throat tightened. He'd never wanted children, never wanted the vulnerability, the risk of loss. His own childhood had been sterile. Boarding schools, absent parents, money instead of presence. But standing in this apartment, surrounded by love made visible through art, he understood what he'd been missing. Avery tugged his sleeve, pointing to the kitchen table. "Look!" A note sat beside an empty coffee cup. Nathan picked it up carefully. The handwriting was shaky. "Avery, baby, had to go to hospital. Tried to wait but got too dizzy. Mrs. Patterson will get you. Love you forever. Mama." Hospital. Nathan's mind raced. "Lou, which hospital is closest?" "St. Catherine's, 10 blocks north." Nathan looked at Avery. "Your mom went to get help. She tried to make sure you'd be taken care of, but something must have happened with the timing. Come on, let's go find her." St. Catherine's emergency room hummed with controlled chaos. Nathan approached the desk, Avery pressed against his side. "I'm looking for Olivia Mitchell. She would have come in sometime today." The nurse typed on her keyboard, frowning. "Are you family?" Nathan paused. What was he? A stranger who'd found a scared child? But then Avery's small hand squeezed his, and he felt the weight of his earlier promise. "I'm helping her daughter." The nurse's expression softened. "Room 247, second floor. She's stable now, but it was close." They rode the elevator in silence. Nathan could feel Avery trembling. When the doors opened, she broke into a run. "Mama!" Olivia Mitchell lay in a hospital bed with an IV in her arm, her face pale but her eyes bright with tears. "Avery! Oh, baby! I'm so sorry. She couldn't finish, pulling her daughter into a fierce embrace. Nathan stood in the doorway, suddenly feeling like an intruder. But Olivia looked up, her gaze finding his. "You brought her. I don't even know you." "Nathan Reeves." He stepped forward awkwardly. "I found Avery outside your building. She said you didn't come home." Olivia's face crumpled. "I have diabetes. I thought I could make it through the day, but my blood sugar dropped so fast. I barely made it here before I passed out. I tried to coordinate with my neighbor, but..." Fresh tears spilled. "I failed her. I failed my baby."
"No." Nathan's voice was firm. "You got yourself help. You left a note. You did everything right. Sometimes things just fall through the cracks." "I'm all she has," Olivia whispered. "Her father left when he found out I was sick, said he didn't sign up for a liability. I've been trying so hard to be enough, but..." "Mama, you are enough," Avery said, her voice muffled against Olivia's shoulder. "You're everything." Nathan felt something shift in his chest. A door he'd kept locked for years creaking open. He'd spent so long building walls, protecting himself from feeling anything that might slow him down or make him vulnerable. But watching Avery and Olivia cling to each other, he realized he'd been protecting himself from the very things that made life worth living. Over the next hour, Nathan learned their story. Olivia had been a rising artist before her diagnosis, but medical bills had drained her savings. She still painted, selling pieces when she could, but mainly worked retail to keep food on the table and insurance active. She had no family nearby, no support system, just her art, her daughter, and a stubborn refusal to give up. "The gallery wants to do a show," Olivia said softly. "3 months from now. It could change everything, but I need to stay healthy, need to stay present for Avery." Nathan made another decision, the easiest one he'd ever made. What if you didn't have to choose? 3 months later, Nathan stood in the Dawson Gallery, surrounded by Olivia's paintings. The opening night was packed. Art collectors, critics, curious patrons, but Nathan only cared about 2 people. Avery stood beside her mother, wearing a red velvet dress, beaming as Olivia spoke with admirers. Olivia's paintings had sold within the first hour. Her medical bills were covered. Her future suddenly held possibilities instead of just survival. But more than that, something unexpected had bloomed. Nathan had started visiting them regularly, first to check on Olivia's health, then to help with Avery, then simply because their small apartment felt more like home than his penthouse ever had. He'd learned to braid Avery's hair, to make her laugh with terrible jokes. He'd sat with Olivia while she painted, listening to her talk about color and light and hope. They hadn't defined what they were becoming. There was no rush, just a slow, steady growing together, 3 separate people learning they didn't have to face the world alone. Avery tugged Nathan's sleeve. "Thank you for finding me that day." Nathan knelt down, meeting her eyes. "Avery, I need to tell you something. I didn't find you. You found me. I was so lost in my own world that I'd forgotten what mattered. You reminded me." Olivia approached, her eyes glistening. "You changed our lives." "No," Nathan said gently, standing. "You both changed mine. I had everything except the one thing that mattered, someone to care about, someone who needed me, not for what I could buy or build, but just for showing up." Olivia reached for his hand. "You did more than show up. You stayed." Nathan squeezed her fingers, his voice thick with emotion. "That's what you do when you find your people. You stay." The gallery lights glowed warm against the winter darkness outside. Through the window, snow began to fall, soft and quiet, like a benediction. Avery pressed between them, her small hands joining theirs. "We're a family now, right? Not the regular kind, but the kind that chooses each other." Nathan looked at Olivia, saw his own wonder reflected in her face. "Yeah, sweetheart, the very best kind." Kindness isn't just a single act. It's a choice we make every day, to see each other, to show up, to stay. Sometimes it begins with a stranger on a snowy sidewalk. Sometimes it grows into something that saves us all. And that's the most beautiful art.
If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's spread more stories of kindness and hope together.